What is the word on the emergence of Marxism and communism? What are you guys hearing on that?
Well, we felt like God wanted to bring two red waves. One would be a positive red wave, and one would be a red wave of communism. Now, when some of the prophets brought this up, we get on the phone and we do Zoom calls and we dialogue on all of this. At the first thought, I thought, well, communism is no big deal in America. No way. I mean, we know that however, we know there's been a major indoctrination in our universities that we see as socialism, which most of us think they don't know what socialism is. I mean, but be that as it may, I started just Googling and studying and looking around, and there's something called the Red Guard, and they're communists, and they have chapters in different cities. And so I thought, oh my goodness, this is real. I mean, this is...
So, and the Red Guard is, and just to be clear, you saw like the guys, prophetic people talking about two red waves. The first was positive, the other wasn't. The second one would be communism, and the Red Guard is actually in the United States. So, and of course, the socialism has become so popularized that Bernie Sanders was the #2 candidate, and the only reason why they backed off was because the word socialist was being used too aggressively. But all of the policies that the Democratic Party right now are lining up with, and all the platforms we expect are going to come out in August and September, are going to be, because of the crisis economically, socialist. And America is heading towards that kind of a tipping point. So is there a sense that this is an inevitability, or that this is a battle that has to be fought?
Well, it's a battle that has to be fought. And actually, all prophetic words really outside the Bible are conditional. And one reason that sometimes God warns us is so we will pray. I mean, God warned Abraham, and God warned Lot, whatever. But why? Because he didn't want to do it. He always, in some ways, will bring someone into counsel with him if he's warning. Because Amos says he does nothing, but he doesn't tell the prophets. And so one reason we have gathered so many prophetic voices is some are church prophets, some are prophets to nations, some are dreamers, like James Gall, he's a dreamer and a seer. But in order to really understand the counsel of God, you need to get them together. And some will be way out, like over here, communism is here, it's now, like we're going to have that takeover. And when you study historically, as far as I studied when I was in Russia, there were only 5,000 card-carrying communists in all of Russia. And I can't remember if like 300 took over and took the Tsar down and everything like that. It wasn't very big, and no one thought it could happen. I remember prophesying many years ago that the spirit of communism was going from China to Latin America. And I shared this with a group of leaders in Latin America, and we're talking about 20 years ago. And you know what they all said? Never happened. Never happened. We will never do that. And now we know that Chavez and the Chavistas, began to network with all these other nations, even Argentina. Sure. Which, when I talked to the major pastors in Argentina and I warned them, they just couldn't see it could happen. In fact, I warned them and I said, to know that what I'm saying is true, 1 year from now, the economy of Argentina will collapse. And people wearing high-end clothing will be eating out of garbage cans, and there will be blood in the streets of Buenos Aires. And they were so shocked. They said it will never happen. 1 year from that time, the economy completely collapsed. And people were eating out of garbage cans, and they were running on the banks, and there was blood in the streets. But then they listened, and they began to majorly pray. And then I prophesied. In fact, I told one of their major economists that there is going to be such a turnaround because of the massive prayer in Argentina, that they will say, essentially, there's a revival in the economy of Argentina, and nobody knows why. In other words, there's not economic indexes that you normally would see that would turn around the economy of a nation, but God. I mean, Claudio Frazen told me that people were lining up at 3 a.m. around his building in Buenos Aires to intercede for the nation and the economy. And it turned it.